So, welcome, Ayla, to this episode of Singing Mothers. I'm really happy you are here. I'm having you, and to talk about this precious topic of walking the path of the artist and walking the path of motherhood, and how to find balance in that. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So my first question is, at which point of your life did you get pregnant, and was it your wish? How was it back then?
So it's definitely, this is going to be an interesting process for me to answer these questions because they are definitely, my answers are, they feel definitely not the kind of classic baby bliss bubble story that gets painted a lot around motherhood, around that journey of motherhood. For me, I had to really that bubble really burst through my own experience. I always had this idea of I don't know, like blissfully smiling pregnant women and like blissfully smiling mummies with newborn babies and stuff like this. So for me, getting pregnant was it wasn't consciously chosen in that moment, although it was very clear to me that my being had somehow unconsciously chosen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was in a phase of my life that I was certainly heading towards that with my partner, and okay, I found this man and we speak about children, and I could feel that was coming soon, but I was very much like, I'm not ready, I still need to be free, I still need to do all these things, and all these ideas of what my mind thought the path of my life needed to be in that moment. And when I got pregnant, it was like, I realized I had a choice. Okay, like I have a choice here. Do I choose to say yes, or do I choose to say no to this? And I felt really it was so clear in my being, like what my mind says I want right now isn't this, yet something really much deeper, like a really deep knowing of my heart and my being knew that was really, really the right step for my life. And I looked back at the past few months of the very, very strong prayers I'd been making. I was doing this womb apprenticeship, a 9-month womb apprenticeship, learning about, going very deeply into the womb. And a lot of the practices they were sharing were very, very deep prayers of offering the self and the being, like our being, to the Divine Mother and to the earth in service. Like, I'm yours, I offer my being, dissolve my all myself into love, like this really kind of returning to love, opening deeply to love. And I just it's just this kind of almost like a cosmic joke of like, wow, what would be the most powerful way to offer myself to life and to learn really what love means, and to learn real deep surrender in my being, and really heal the places I was calling for. So that was I was always remembering someone said to me once, your prayers get answered through the back door. These prayers, and we look at the front door going like, la 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 la, like, when's my prayer going to be answered? And then on the back door is like knocking, hello, hello, and we kind of go, no, like, what are you doing? That's not what I prayed for. But there's a much deeper wisdom of what we need for our evolution, for our soul's journey. Isn't necessarily what this mind thinks we want, but something that powerful shakes the being to be able to hear quite deeply within what's true in that moment.
I totally.
Always easy to listen.
Surrender. Yeah. I totally can check in what you're saying. I'm not a mother yet, but yeah, it's the same with me. My mind is really, okay, this kind of woman I am, and I do this, and that. And then life brings me different gifts. Yeah.
Mm.
So, how old is your boy right now?
He's two
2.
and 2 months.
Mhm. And do you remember like which fears did appear when you get pregnant? And how did they unfold? How is it now? Or how was it then?
Yeah, for me, the pregnancy was the deepest diving into my fears that I think I've ever experienced in my whole life.
Mm.
It was very, very, very difficult time for me. The fears came really, really strong after, I don't know, it was like the beginning bit, you know, when there's no bump and it's kind of not really that real. But as I got deeper into the pregnancy, the fears around, what was my mind saying? My life is over. I'm never going to be able to live any of my dreams. I'm going to die. It was like actually very deep. When I went down to the essence, it was kind of something in my being, probably my ego, going, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And throwing up all of the different voices because I'm not going to be able to make music, because I'm not going to be able to travel anymore, because I'm not going to be able to do anything I love, because I'm going to have no freedom, because I'm going to be trapped, la 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 la, like
Yeah.
on and on and on.
Mm.
But yeah, this like the essence in there was really this fear of a death, which I begin to see actually in some ways was a valid fear. There is a death that happens when you become a mother. Your life as it was before and your being as you were before you die. And rebirth can't happen without death. So this is why people talk about this initiation. Like you die and are reborn. You're reborn as a mother in a new reality, a new life, where yourself isn't at the center anymore. And the ego really, really doesn't like that. The ego is like, I'm the center. It's all about me, me, me.
Yeah.
Like my needs, selfish. And like suddenly the ego is like thrown out of the center of its own circle. So of course there's a huge amount of panic. I was in a very deep state of panic. I felt a bit like a pinned down animal in my own mind and my own fears. And there are also aspects within that really have a valid voice. You know, as creative beings, it's valid for us to be afraid. How are we gonna keep these parts of ourselves alive, because there is a challenge to it. But in hindsight, for me, the pregnancy was like a very, very profound, challenging ceremony that didn't stop when the morning came.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to keep going, and you're going to stay with these places in your being. And for me personally, I was processing very, very buried aspects of myself from my childhood around lack of trust, doubt in this life, in this world, doubt that it's safe, doubt that it's like divine. You know, I've faced the fears could only be there because that doubt exists. If I have an unshakable faith in the divine choreography of life and in God, then I wouldn't be so afraid. This was the other aspect. It was like I was so afraid, and it was bringing me to meet these places of myself that were actually going like, no, I don't believe that everything is perfect. I don't trust this life. I don't say yes. Like very, very, very old parts of myself that I had to be confronted with, and I had been calling for that healing after years and years of all different kinds of things, medicine and ceremonies and different kinds of therapies and workshops and traveling and many aspects that I'd worked with, but there was this like deep buried sludge, like deepest parts of myself that I never really was able to like really go in there, because I would touch on it and go whoop, oh that, whoa, like let's not stay there. Like I don't know how to deal with that. And my personal experience was pregnancy and motherhood has and still brings me to meet those very, very deep places, and you can't avoid them. You know, that's the thing about another human being, whether it's in the belly or out there, like it's not going to go away. It's a child, like you love it more than anything, so you have a reason to stay and face the aspects and yeah, do that work with them.
Wow. No, thank you so much for sharing. So, as I know, you launched your album Silent Voices during, I don't know if you've been pregnant or already a mother of your born baby, but how does your motherhood influence your creativity, your music, your voice? Do you realize a difference in that?
It's not that I have something that's like absolutely clear, like a profound shift that I can notice. But I have had people give me reflections of a feeling that they can feel, for example, in my voice. There's a different quality there, somehow like a softness or a warmth, more warmth. And what I can see is it's given myself an even deeper, more expanded sense of purpose of why, for what am I birthing this creativity for. Before, in my earlier years especially, it was much more like a need from within my being to express something for my own healing. Need to kind of make sense of something. It just had to come out. So it was quite inward. It was quite about me, actually, but that was where I was at. It needed to be. It was beautiful also, about my inner processes. And since having a child, it's like it puts it in more context of what's happening on the earth in this time. This sense of like this deeper purpose that I feel that I want to offer my music to people's hearts and to the world in this moment, that it can be really part of something good, you know, something going in the direction of something good, for a beautiful future for the earth, for the animals, for the plants, for all the children, for all beings. So my own child gives me this much more just a much deeper understanding of what that means, because it's not just a theory anymore. Oh, I sing this for the future, you know, for the children's children, or for the generations ahead. It's like I have a living connection to the future in front of me, who I care more about than anything, and through him I can kind of connect more profoundly to the web of life, and to this concept of, you know, how the Native Americans talk a lot about praying for the 7 generations behind and the 7 generations ahead, like this wheel of time where it kind of all exists in the same moment. I'm singing for the 7 generations ahead of me, and at the same time for my ancestors. And it's put that has become more relative for me, and I hear it more in the songs also. And that's very beautiful. It's very inspiring for me. for my creativity.
Do you also find time for your creativity? Like how to manage it? Or do you also have...
This is the biggest challenge, eh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is really, really a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I still am learning how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure my child is still young, so I sense if we were to have this interview in a year's time or 2 years' time or 3 years' time, I would say different things. Like I'm still in the phase where it's very demanding. Mummy is the center of everything, and I can't go away for a whole weekend yet.
Yeah.
You know, more time will come. But it's taught me to be quite disciplined. You know, it's like I'm going to make time for my creativity, and like it brings out this kind of fierceness around like protecting how sacred that is for me. Like, no, I will not compromise. Like, I'm gonna go sit over there for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is. Like, really brings a real sharpness to the arrow, because there's not time to waste anymore. There's not time for the arrow to kind of go, like, it's like, now is the moment. Being a mother really makes me use my time much more efficiently, really focus on what's important and not waste my time on things that like are like, oh, okay, I could kind of be doing that. It's like prioritizing, focusing, and learning to ask. It's been a big process. My partner, other people, learning to ask for support, because it's a real struggle, and I always wish I had more time for my creativity. It's a real soreness in my being. But I had this grandmother once say to me when I spoke about this, of like, I'm struggling so much, I just long to be playing music every day and I'm not, and la 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 la. She said, Ayla, like, have you ever just allowed yourself to really receive the medicine of this silent time? You know, it's a bit like a silent retreat in your, not that my life is silent, you know, it's very loud with screaming babies and everything. It's like a time, it's like winter, it's like a time of inwards, where there's like that energy is somehow still doing what it needs to do. It's not out there being expressed in all the leaves and the flowers. It's like deep in the roots of the being. And that gave me a real just trust. It's patience, and it's not going to die, and make the time I need when I need it.
It's a big journey. So, yeah, what you're saying, it all sounds like the journey of a woman, of being a woman, femininity. And yeah, how did that change? How did that deepen? I mean, you already told me, but yeah, your body, your heart, your womb, your voice. So what's different now than before, of in the sense of being a woman?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what I was sharing of it's like I feel I understand my place in the web of life more than I did before, or I feel more in my place. Maybe I could say it like that. When I remember, if I kind of remember the feeling of me before a child, I was incredibly ungrounded, incredibly kind of, it's this energy of like swirling, beautiful also, you know, a lot of energy, but kind of like maybe slightly chaotic, this kind of slightly kind of confused, a bit of that within it also. And it was wild and it was free and beautiful, like but if I just kind of tune into how I feel now, is like, yeah, it's much stiller, more restful in my being. much more connected to my being, to myself, to my needs, much more sensitive to really listen and respond to myself and to others. I think an expanded awareness and sensitivity of other beings, but like I said before, of like this time that we're in and my part within it, and what really, really matters to me with my life. What really, really matters with what I offer to this life, and how am I going to focus and sharpen that arrow of my offering. Like, also there's something about a child that you really see time, they like show you time. It's like, whoa, he's like suddenly like this big, and like I remember he was a baby, like that was time moving there. So it's this kind of reminder of like this life and this wheel that we're all part of, and this great turning that we all have a part to play within it. And for me, on just on a very personal level, it's like as a woman and in relation to myself, it's brought a lot of compassion and love. Like I take care of myself much more than I ever used to. I'm much more gentle. I'm much more careful. I'm more honouring of my being. Many things. These questions are, each question could be a whole interview in itself, really.
Yeah. So, which role does your partner play in all of that? I mean, very often I think about in which area I would like to live and have a family, like in a tribe, in a village. But first it starts probably with the partner. And yeah, which role does he have?
Yeah. My partner has a very important role in this. I think particularly for us, because we don't live near neither of our parents, so we don't have extended family who, for some people, that plays a big role in supporting their life and their creativity in that time. So Josh he's just totally committed as a father, and also very committed to supporting me to be able to not just be creative. He's just very supportive, whatever, even if it's like I need to just go and be quiet for half an hour, I need to do some yoga or whatever. I'm blessed that he's at home, he works from home, so we're both at home most of the time, and like that we can really kind of do this dance together, and that's incredibly important. I don't know how I would do it. For example, if I was a single mother, it would be a very different story. It would be very different answers. And I think the essence is we need support as mothers. It's not natural to be isolated little bubbles. Like we're tribal people. Actually, we're tribal people. There's this saying, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And that's how, like, in our bodies there is still that memory. Actually, like we would be doing it together with other mothers, with grandparents. You hear about, is it someone just told me the other day that the Aborigines in America, like not America, sorry, Australia, the grandparents actually do the child caring, because they're like, well, I'm an elder now, I don't go and work in the fields anymore, so the parents kind of go and do all the things they need to do. And the grandparents have that role of being present and educating the children. So yeah, it's somehow to how we recreate this sense of village, or recreate the sense of support that we need to be able to just live in balance in ourselves, because it's not balanced for us or for our child to be at home all day long, us and them in a room, us trying to play with little animals and the child actually just incredibly bored with us. I read this one baby book when Aaron was born about this lady observing how mothers, how people brought up their children in tribal cultures. And there's one bit helped me so much. She said, like, it's not healthy as a mother to think that the best thing you can do for your child is like abandon your life and abandon all of your things, and being a good mother is stopping everything and just staying at home and like being 100% focused on my child. She said in the book, like, that's not what the child wants. The child wants to be involved. They're so curious. They want to be taken along to everything you do. You see tribal people, like, the children are just part of everything. And that's the best way that they can learn. And that helped me so much. Okay, I take him to my concerts and I take him when I go and do my stuff, and I put him to sleep in the recording studio when I'm singing. And you know, I find ways to include, to merge those aspects of my life and not create these separations. I've diverged a little bit from what you asked me about my partner, but
no, it's fine. Part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like your life and different lives of creative people is like is child friendly, because I was thinking about that. And as you said, like, to live in a tribe or to be a singer or something else, and you take your baby with you, it's fine for the child. So it seems that's also your experience.
Yeah, and I know that different children have different natures also. So all of this, I can only speak from my experience. Like, my son is an incredibly social being. He loves it to go and be around many people, and he loves going in the car and going on adventures, and you know, he really engages with that. So it has worked. It has worked. Somehow we make it work.
He fits to you. he chose you.
Thank you, God. You gave me the child I needed.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So there is also one question, but you already answered it, I think. But how do you embody the values you sing about? Because you, in your songs, it's all about these things you already shared, like to live a life, like a natural life, I would say. And how is it for you to embody that? Like, yeah, what would you say?
Well, I'm definitely still on a process to really reach a place where I feel I'm living the life that I would say is embodying what my heart is really calling for, and that's what I'm singing about. It's like that longing. It's a longing inside of my being of something that I feel called towards, that just feels right. So for me, practically, my life now, it's really to find that home, and that vision is a home where I live with the land, where I'm really in contact with the land every single day, where I am growing my food, where I am speaking with this place that I call my home, that I can be a caretaker of a land that then is also taking care of me, like a living relationship. I really long for that. I don't have that now. We are on the journey of finding where that is to be, and to grow those roots, like physically, symbolically, energetically grow those roots with the earth, to be able to be more quiet and more still, and to be able to listen, really listen, and speak with the earth, and allow those songs to come through So that's in process, but there's other things like I actually, since my son was born, I wrote this. When he was a few months old, there was a big wave of fires in the Amazon forest. It's like be like a year, almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and I wrote this song, "Music Plants Trees," and that has given birth to this vision of a. It's still taking form. It's like a movement. It's a project. Music plants trees. It's that music itself can be planting trees. So I have this track that I sell. There's also a remix, and 100% of it goes towards tree planting projects. And every event I do, every ticket I sell, plants, depending between 1 or 4 trees. Sometimes it's more. So like. These aspects are more so bringing into my life that my creativity can be like, people are calling it artivism, not activism, but it's artivism, like through art, creating like practical ripples that embody what I sing about. And planting trees has been just made the most sense for me to focus my that part of my energy on until I have my own land and I can really plant my trees, at least, like, okay, and connecting with different projects and being part of charity events just feels very good for me to do that. And yeah, I guess the ultimate embodiment is like really deeply in the heart, isn't it? Before any practical things is that spiritual practice to really embody those understandings really, really deeply in my heart, and know from there my physical reality will embody that. It's just natural, like a flower. It's like from there, that just my life will become an embodiment of what's inside of me.
To already be in this feeling. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. It's an honor for me to talk with you because your music is really inspiring me. And I remember when I heard you were pregnant, I was like, wow, it even more. So it's beautiful that we have now this heart talk. It encourages me a lot, and I'm sure many other women as well, to follow this call and not to be in this separation of whether I'm a singer or I'm a mother. Just to live it, both of it. That is one.
Yeah, thank you for asking me. I also felt I had quite a particularly challenging experience. I think all mothers will say it's challenging in different ways. We all have our own stories, but it feels it's a very personal and a very deep, and was a very, very painful and challenging process for me. So I'm really happy to share that, because for me, I felt like there was something so wrong with me because I was finding it so difficult. And that was because I hadn't heard anyone talking about, honestly, the challenges. And I was like, what's wrong with me? Am I the only mother in the world that's like suffering so much? And then I would slowly here and there talk to other mothers and begin to go like, no, of course I'm not the only one. It's just like socially in our culturally, we don't have space for people to honestly be how they are. How are you? Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or around birth, birth is a classic one. Like, when do you hear someone talking about really how their birth was, or having a space to just honestly share the depth that they went to in the birth? It's kind of like, oh, you gave birth, well done, here's some flowers. Oh, you just grew a baby for 9 months, and I'm sure that was great. And then like mothers get labelled with postnatal depression because they're struggling. And I just absolutely rejected when someone said, Ayla, you might have postnatal depression. And I was just like, I don't believe in these labels. Like, what the hell does depression mean? You know, like, it means I'm having a human experience, and our culture just has no language to allow that to be, and therefore it doesn't have space to allow it to be transformed. So we get given a label and get given some medication to just go numb. And this is why I'm really happy to share, honestly, because for me, if I had understood that this is really part of the process, and I don't need to be that blissful mother that you see in the pictures, like like baby bliss or whatever it's called. If I had known that, it would have helped me to be so much softer with myself. So much of the process I hear with a lot of mothers of, I'm failing to be a good mother, or I'm not perfect enough, I'm not good enough, or I should be like this, or I should be feeling this. What about if all of that just can be dissolved with, like, it's okay that we go into our fears and that it's terrifying to become a mother, and that we have all these questions. How are we going to do this? It's really important to ask, like, how am I going to keep my creativity alive? Like, how am I going to keep living the life that's important to me? Not become one of those stories of mothers that you meet who their child is 20 years old and finally leaves home and they go, I'm going to start drawing again because I just stopped doing what I loved for my whole life, because I thought the whole of my child's life, because I thought that that's what I had to do to be a good mother. Like, no. But we have to present these questions to ourselves and have to be determined to keep them alive, and willing to confront those challenges and allow it to transform, to go into that fear, to go into the struggle. There are moments, I cannot believe how difficult it is sometimes, just simple things like the sleep deprivation, or like the child just won't go to sleep for like 2 hours, and meeting these real edges in the being. And of course there's just this opportunity of surrender, accepting. It's okay, and it's a spiritual training, and softening into it. Knowing that we're not the only mother having a hard time.
Yes. Yeah, it's a rebirth, as you said already. It's an initiation into becoming not a new woman, maybe even more myself. Just a new part, or new colors is coming. Yeah.
Upgrade.
Right? Yeah.
Ripening. It's really, really ripens the being into a delicious fruit.
Yes.
Ripe fruit.
So I would really love if you want to share a song, maybe a song which stands for you for this. I don't know if you have a specific song, or
Well, the song that just felt to sing was my song that's called Rose. That's kind of for the sisters. It's, it's not, it wasn't written in that moment, like specifically about being a mother. I actually realized I wrote it probably within the days that I conceived. I realized this the other day. I may have been like 1 or 2 days pregnant. I didn't know. Obviously didn't know. But yeah, I think this is really, the song is just this honoring of the essence of woman and femininity, and that grace and power that we are as a woman, and all of us, not just our beauty and our divine expression, but also our shadow and our sorrow, and all of that is being part of this beautiful rose, the flowers, the petals, the smell, and the thorns, all part of it. So I'm just gonna go here and turn on my guitar. So that should come through now. Softening, softening, softening all the hardness. Melting, melting, melting all that's frozen. Letting go of the sorrow. Dissolving into love all the shadow. We are woman. We are bringers of life. We are vessels of love. We are expressions of the divine. We are woman. We are bringers of life. We are vessels of love. We are expressions of the divine. Sisters, hold my hand. You are stronger than you know. We are opening to love. We are learning how to grow. We hear the call. We are returning, we remember. We are like the rose. We are stronger than we know. We are like the rose. We are stronger than we know. Ancient Mother, moving through us, roots growing deep in our ancestry. Medicine woman, daughter, mother and lover, reclaiming the power of our sacred memory. We are woman. We are bringers of life. We are vessels of love. We are expressions of the divine. We are woman. We are bringers of life. We are vessels of love. We are expressions of the divine. Sisters, hold my hand. You are stronger than you know. We are opening to love. We are learning how to grow. We hear the call. We are returning, we remember. We are like the rose. We are stronger than we know. We are like the rose. We are stronger than we know. La, da, da, da. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we are held. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we are strong. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we remember. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we belong. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we are held. Sisters holding hands, in the circle we are strong. Sisters holding hands, in the this circle we remember sisters holding hands. In this circle we belong. We are like the rose, we are stronger than we know. We are like the rose, we are stronger than we know. We are like the rose, we are stronger than we know. We are like the rose, we are stronger than we
Thank you so much, Ayla, for the beautiful song. I really love it. I hear it very often. Yes. I think we may be in a circle that you will find your home. And all of us just be here and now where we are. Thank you so much, Ayla.
Thank you.